back to winning isn't easy. Let's talk about typical long-term care policy terms that you should be familiar with that you might find in a long-term disability policy and why the devil is in the policy terms. Now, typically, if you see any type of long-term care benefits within a long-term disability policy or plan, they're going to be called CAT benefits, not as in cat, CAT as in catastrophic disability benefits. And normally what you'll see is a rider that will pay benefits in addition to the disability benefits. This can come in a couple different forms. It can actually come in the form of specific benefits for specific services, or you might see the typical CAT rider that says, hey, we will provide you with an extra $2,000 in addition to your long-term disability insurance benefits. And by the way, we're going to have a 180-day elimination period, and your long-term disability benefits may have a 90-day elimination period. And by the way, there's going to be a 24-month cumulative maximum benefit for these benefits. And by the way, the definition of disability would be the inability to do 2 out of 6 activities of daily living. Now, that should be contrasted with what you'll normally see in the disability policy. So the CAT is going to have basically the payment of extra benefits, an elimination period, normally a limitation as to the amount of benefits or the period that they will pay. And the long-term disability policy will say, okay, here's the definition of disability. It's not can't do 2 out of 6 activities of daily living. It's your inability to do the material and substantial duties of your own occupation or any occupation. And by the way, we're going to limit benefits for subjective medical conditions to just 2 years, or mental nervous conditions to just 2 years. And you can see that the definition of disability is completely different. One is based on ADLs, that's the CAT, and the LTD is based on an inability to do your own or occupation benefits. And if you want to be paid both benefits, you got to meet the definition of disability as it's defined. Now, again, in the long-term care policy, the relevant definitions are going to include the definition of activities of daily living, cognitive impairment, standby assistance, and substantial supervision. The long-term disability policy is going to define the term disability and the term occupation. And it might be that the definition is an inability to do the material and substantial duties of your own occupation. There are a number of different types of definitions of disability, but that's just one of them. And you can see that's completely different. Now, another thing that's really important, again, when you're looking at the long-term care benefits, is to look at the actual definition of each of these activities: bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring, continence, eating. And you have to actually meet each one of those definitions. And if you don't meet those definitions, then you don't potentially meet the requirement of the inability to do or need assistance with 2 out of the 6 activities of daily living. The other key difference here is that there are 3 ways to be entitled to the CAT benefits. And again, you have to go back to the definition. Catastrophic disability or catastrophically disabled could mean that you are cognitively impaired, that you're unable to perform 2 or more activities of daily living safely without standby assistance of another person, or that you're presumptively disabled because you have met the requirement for the loss of vision or the loss of limbs. Now, sometimes you will also see policy limitations on catastrophic disability benefits. What you'll commonly see is limits on a person's mental nervous condition. So benefits will be limited to just 2 years, or it will require evidence of objective proof. Or if it's a subjective medical condition like fibromyalgia, benefits will be limited to just 2 years. Now, there are similar limitations in the context of a CAT benefit. So it might be that it's excluded if the disability is contributed to or caused by a diagnosis that involves sleep disorders, learning or attention deficits, substance abuse use, schizophrenia, mood, anxiety, somatoform disorders, psychiatric disorders. So there might be internally, under the catastrophic benefit provision, a limit on the definition, if you will, of the activity of daily living, but also a limitation on the amount of benefits or entitlement to benefits based on a contribution. What's also important is that you're looking at definitions of what standby assistance is, substantial supervision. Again, all of these definitions are really, really crucial for you to understand because the proof inherently is different than the proof for the long-term disability benefits. So what I like to do is when I'm reading one of these policies is I'm outlining, okay, here's the definition of disability for the disability benefits. Over here is the definition of disability or policy terms that I need to understand to go about proving that they're entitled to the assistance with activities of daily living. Two completely different types of benefits, two completely different types of proof. And it all starts, of course, with looking at the applicable policy or plan, understanding what you have to prove and the differences. So as you're looking at this case, you're able to fashion together a theory that establishes not only you're entitled to your disability benefits, but benefits for the activities of daily living and understanding policy limitations. I know it sounds confusing and involved, and it is. It takes, I think, careful analysis of the policy terms and a careful analysis of the medical records to understand what it is that needs to be proven. Got it? Let's take a break, and I'm going to talk about the games that disability and long-term care carriers play in denying benefits.